Hey, I'm Michael Dorinda,
And I'm Jake Bennett.
and welcome to episode number 150 of the North Mid South podcast.
Yeah, hey, so this is like 150 officially, I guess. We've had this discussion a couple times. Let's have it one more time for those of you who care. This is, technically this is not the 150th episode, but it is number 150 episode as far as the labels go. We've had more than 150 episodes. It's just we haven't numbered every one of them because some of them have been Christmas.
There is 151 published episodes.
There we go. So anyway, yeah, for you super fans out there, I guess. So let me tell you what's been going on.
You've been painting.
I have been painting a lot.
Still.
Actually, I should show you around. It's still, hold on, let me see. Can you see? We're getting we're have new floors in. I've painted all of these areas. There's still
Nice.
chairs up and everything. So yeah, it's been an adventure. I will say I have been up way too late, way too many nights in the last couple weeks painting, but it's been great. I'm super glad I'm almost done. And so very much worth it. It's feeling like everything's coming together, and wonderful. So I'm glad to be almost done with that.
Did you do all the flooring yourself as well?
No, oh no way.
No,
There's
you were
been two
smart about
guys here. Well, you always tell me you do too much yourself, and I took your advice on this one, and I was just like, you know what? There are people who know what they're doing, and I'm just going to let them do it. And I will tell you, it's been two guys for 3 days, I think, and they've got one more day. So if we say that's like what? That's like 24 times 2, that's 48 hours, right? So far, with two people doing it, 48 total altogether. I cannot even imagine how long, and that's people who know what they're doing. I cannot imagine how long it would have taken me. I would have never got it done, ever.
Yeah.
And so it was very much just worth having them do it. It's totally worth it. And I'm going to get a deal out of it by the time we're done. It's going to end up being good. So
It's good. It's what you want.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So how about you? How are things going for you?
Yeah, things are going pretty well. Eli finished his second week of school, and he's enjoying it, and it wipes him out. So he gets really cranky towards bedtime, and then he falls asleep between when I leave the room and when Ree comes in to say goodnight to him. So it's tiring him out. And then Saturdays he will actually sleep in till 7.
Good man. There you go.
7. So he came out this morning after I got back from my run, and he goes, I had a little bit of a sleep in today. I said, that's good, bud. You get tired from all of that schooling. So
That's right.
that's going well.
He's
enjoying it. He's, he hasn't gotten himself in trouble or anything in the first 2 weeks, which is good. He's
Nice job.
I went to pick him up this week, and he came running out, and he goes, Dad signed me for Auskick. And Auskick is like little kids footy. So it's their first taste into actually playing footy. So he's come running out asking. So that
is it violent or not too bad?
No, it's mostly kids at that age don't really have the coordination or the skills, so it's mostly just chasing a ball around.
Sure. But there's a lot of value in that too, honestly. Just exercise, just getting familiar with the field and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. My sister always said because all of her kids play soccer, but she said a lot of the kids up where they are that come into the soccer club, they learn soccer to get the foot eye coordination and all of that kind of stuff and sort of the fitness up, and then they transition into playing footy as they get older. So
Interesting.
be interesting. But I don't know anything about soccer and have very little interest in it, so I'm kind of hoping he doesn't end up playing soccer, but whatever makes him happy. We'll try things, and he's at that stage now. We kind of held off doing any team sports or anything because he was eligible last year, but we kind of wanted to hold off until he was a little bit older, because then he'd be doing it with the kids that he's in school with and things like that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's a good plan.
So this runs in term 1, and then if he's still interested in it, we'll get him to an actual football club to do Auskick in term 2 and see how he goes from there.
That's really neat. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So and then they have the Auskick then gets to play on the AFL days. So during halftime, the Auskick.
Oh, that's so cool.
They select it's not every kid that does it, but they, as far as I know, but they'll select kids to come out and they'll get different games throughout the year where they can come out and have a run around for 20 minutes during halftime, which is pretty cool. He's always interested in that. Anytime he's kind of bored with the footy, he's like, I want to stay until the little kids come and play, and then I want to go home. So yeah, I think it'd be.
So he's grown up watching that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I'm curious in terms of like popularity for sports in Australia, or at least in the area that you live in. So I would guess you've got, so footy is like, for those of you who don't know, I believe you're talking about Australian rules football, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay. So we've got that. So we've got footy, you've got soccer. Do they call it soccer or do they call it football for you guys?
Yeah, soccer. Yeah.
They call it soccer. Okay. So Australian rules football.
Obviously the people that follow soccer will call it football.
Sure.
And then the rest of us call soccer. Or futsal is the other, gets bandied around depending on the ethnicity of the person talking about the soccer. The Italians and the Greeks and that, they tend to call it futsal. My sister calls it futsal as well. So.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, they're just kind of interchangeable then. So you've got Australian football, you've got soccer, you've got basketball. Do you guys have any? Yeah, cricket, is cricket a big one too? I mean, I know at least depending kind of on maybe again depending on like the ethnicity. I know that we've talked about this a little bit before too.
Footy and cricket would be the two main ones.
Okay, that's what I was actually. That's what I was curious about.
In winter, cricket in summer. Soccer's got a huge following. It's very popular as well. Then the eastern states, so Queensland and New South Wales, are very heavily leaning towards rugby. And I know that there's rugby league and rugby union, and I don't know which of the two it is, but rugby is a very Queensland, New South Wales thing. Footy is very much a Victoria, South Australia, Western Australia sport. And like we've got basketball and that's expanding, but our national league would probably struggle against your college basketball teams, to be honest.
Okay. So it's still kind of up and coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys play baseball at all? You guys play baseball, or is not really?
Yeah, there is a bit of baseball around. The season just finished here last weekend, and my hometown team won the championship.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So apparently
hometown team, nice.
We play it, but we're also pretty good at it. So
there you go. Nice. Love it. Well, hey, folks, if you showed up to hear about Australian sports, then you're in luck because that's exactly what we're talking about today. So very nice. Hey, I've got an interesting topic to talk about here. Have you ever done campaign emails, like marketing emails for a company that you work for, not just personally?
No, most of the stuff that I've done is transaction. We don't do any of the campaign emails. Like you're talking the, drip campaigns and things like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Or
just, like anything that you would consider like a subscribed list of people or something like that.
Mm-hmm. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, gotcha. So, what we have done pretty typically is we have done transactional emails as well, right? That's been solely what we've done. We've never done any sort of campaign, sort of like, hey, let's email these people sort of deal. We've never done that. But in the industry that we're in, we're wanting to expand the ways that we're attempting to communicate with people and also giving them the option to essentially choose which way they want to be communicated with. The challenge that we have is that the folks that we're trying to get in touch with, none of them have talked to us before, and none of them have basically consented to be talked to, right? They don't, they just haven't because they're not our clients. It's nothing. We're trying to find these people, basically, is what it is, right? Mm-hmm. And so some of them, you'll call them, they'll never pick up their phone. They just won't. But if you text them, they'll text you back. Or if you email them, they'll click the link that's in there, right? So it's, but we also are very sensitive to wanting to be good actors in this space. We certainly don't want to spam anybody. And we want to give people the option to unsubscribe, and we want to make sure we have a really good sender reputation, all that stuff, right? So one of the challenges that we've faced is that we're kind of going from this transactional idea to more of like, well, we have, 3,000 people who have logged into our payment portal and have given us their email, but we haven't heard from them in a long time. Yeah. So we're going to email those people. But we're not using, like, basically what we did is we just said, let's take our transactional stuff that we've already done and just send some people into those files and just go manually send 3,000 emails. Well, that's fine, but none of those transactional emails have like an unsubscribe button or anything like that, right? And so what ends up happening is people marking this as a spam or as abuse or whatever, and that's not great. So we're trying to figure out if we move those sorts of things over to something like MailCoach, you know what I mean, where we just load them up into MailCoach and then shoot them out. Because MailCoach, I believe, will already handle most of that unsubscribe stuff. You know what I mean, like that deal.
Built for that kind of stuff.
Right, exactly. Built for some of that stuff. But I found it interesting sort of how the whole unsubscribe thing works. And so I just want to take a quick minute to break this down. Yahoo and Google recently banded together to do this new thing. They're calling it Yahoogle informally, I think, right? And so it's like basically these rules that they've had for senders that they're now choosing to enforce. And so one of the things that they're enforcing is that if you send over 5,000 emails a day, any of your marketing emails must have a one-click unsubscribe. So one-click unsubscribe meaning not you click and it goes to a page where it says, do you want to unsubscribe? And then you click that again. Not that. Like a literal one-click unsubscribe. So the way that this works is interesting. There in 1997, there was these list headers that got introduced as an RFC for emails. So in emails, you can send these headers through, and there's like list subscribe, list unsubscribe, list archive. And all the list there is referring to like an email list, right? A list of people that you're emailing, right? So you can think of it as like, newsletter sort of deal, right? So all of those list headers are specifically related to mailing lists. Well, list unsubscribe has been there for a long time. But typically it's just been a get URL where you send them there and they click it. The problem is that if you are trying to implement a one-click URL solution where you say, okay, as long as they hit that page, we'll unsubscribe them. A lot of email service providers now will automatically hit any link. Prefetch everything to make sure that it's not spam or it's not virus or whatever. Apple, if there's like tracking links or whatever, they hit everything just to like throw off advertisers so they can't say like, oh, that's a good email address. You know what I mean? They'll always kind of visit that thing. So you can't really do that. So what they are doing now is they're suggesting that list unsubscribe is a get URL that does you click through and then you click it again and it unsubscribes. And I should say, that URL should also be able to be posted to. And if you post to that URL, the post will then unsubscribe them in one hit. So how in Gmail or whatever you say there might be like some unsubscribe thing or whatever. Like if they click spam and you have a one-click unsubscribe, they won't mark it as spam. They'll just unsubscribe them for the list sort of deal, I think is the idea, right? Because they know users don't really differentiate between spam and abuse and whatever. So as long as you're playing with the rules, then what Google will do is they'll send the post request to that list unsubscribe header. And you also have to have one more header called list unsubscribe -post. And that post basically says the value of that needs to be one-click unsubscribe. That's what that value of that header has to be. And if it is, then they'll go ahead and post to that URL rather than get it and then assume that you're going to unsubscribe the user. So I thought that was pretty interesting, actually. I asked Freak today if they already implemented that, and he was like, yeah, we've had that for like 3 years. I think he said in version 1 we had that. And so it's like, for me, that's where I'm at. I'm like, okay, well, I could buy MailCoach for $250 and just do it that way and be done with it. Or I could try and build these unsubscribes into all of my transactional email things too.
That would be the developer thing to do. But you are going to spend more than $250 of your time doing that.
100%. I think the thing that I'm concerned about is that I'm going to end up using the same domain to send all of those emails, both my transactional emails and my campaign emails. And so Google doesn't care at all which one is which. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The sender reputation is tied to the domain itself. So I either have to, send all my campaign emails from a subdomain or something like that, which would be fine. I could do that. Or I would need to also just make sure that the emails that I'm sending that are transactional also have that same functionality, that same unsubscribe functionality. And to be honest, I can't really think of a reason why I couldn't do that. Like, I could just include it there as well. So if somebody did mark it as spam, it doesn't mark it as like an abusive email. It just says like, hey, don't send them an email again. And so I could just put it into a block list essentially or something like that.
Yeah. Depends on what that transactional email is, though. Like a lot of that time, you're sending transactional emails that are like, you have an invoice that you need to pay us, or
thanks to your payment, here's your receipt.
Payment, or like that kind of stuff. And if someone marks that as spam, you probably don't want to unsubscribe because you probably have some compliance obligations to send that kind of information to people. But I suppose like if you can demonstrate that you have sent it, it is probably not your responsibility to make sure that it was received.
Interesting. Yeah. If it bounces, for example, though, like if it bounces on our side, like if we get back a hook from AWS or something that email bounced, we are obligated to follow up on that. So like
to follow up,
our
fallback,
send it in the mail. Exactly. That's literally what we have to do, because it's like the initial is like you must notify them, and the original was like you have to print an email or print and mail it. And they're like, well, you can email it, but if you don't get it through there, then you have to send it through mail. So it's like, okay. So anyway, that's been an interesting rabbit hole to kind of go down. And I thought it's just a clever solution. Like it's a really well written, well understood piece of documentation. The RFC is really well written. I thought it was good. So yeah, kind of cool.
Yeah, it's good to know that Freek and co at Spatie have built that thing, and they're aware of all of these RFCs and things that they need to adhere to if they're going to build and sell, obviously, a comprehensive mailing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could build it yourself, but you're not going to know about these things, much less implement them. So there's always that kind of stuff. And then if you're using the Mailcoach cloud thing, or if you're using SendGrid, not SendGrid, if you're using ConvertKit or SendStack from the team at BeyondCode or whatever, like if you're using these services, they're going to do some level of work to make sure that they can keep their deliverability rates up high.
Yeah.
Because they're offering this as a service. I know that Mailcoach, you can bring your own, SES or whatever, transactional mail provider and send your mail that way. So yeah, there's certainly things they're doing. I would certainly, all of that kind of stuff, I would always send from a separate email, a separate domain, just to make sure that, your internal staff emails that are, jakebennett.com don't get caught up in like some spam loop.
Exactly.
And you get on those blacklists and you can get stuck on there for ages, and they're quite aggressive about it now as well. So
for sure,
it's definitely something that you want to keep away from your like human generated or originated emails versus the automated system emails and things like that. So that's something I'm looking into again this year as we're about to gear up for emailing attendees and waitlists and the sign up list and all that kind of stuff for Laracon AU at the end of this month. I'm kind of revisiting, do we want to keep using what we're using? Do we want to look at using ConvertKit or something like that? So just trying to figure out. I mean, we're using SendStack at the moment. I found that SendStack was a little bit lacking in terms of some of its segmentation features, which we were trying to do to kind of email people at various points in the sort of like sales journey, if you will, for Laracon. So
the funnel,
the funnel, people that signed up, but then, they didn't open an email. We want to email those people again, for example. Hey, you might have missed that tickets are on sale, or you might have missed that CFP is open, or you might have, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or people that were on a wait list, you want to make sure that they get notified of all of that kind of stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. That makes sense.
Looking at email again at the moment.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, so that's been interesting. I've also been playing with keyboard stuff this week again. I know we talked about that 2 weeks ago. I've had a couple breakthroughs. David Hemphill helps me with this. And so I think the place where I'm at now is that I have mapped caps lock, which I was afraid of doing. I've had mixed results with caps lock, and I think it's because I was trying to do it on a Magic keyboard and also on my Mac keyboard. And Macs don't really like when you mess with caps lock too much. But on my and maybe I just don't have it set up right. That's possible too. But on my Keychron, it has no problem with it. It's great. It doesn't care. Yeah. So what I did is I mapped caps lock to tap to escape and hold as super. So that's been great. It's been really nice because with those 60% keyboards, like I said before, like escape is sorry, there's no tilde backticks. So I mapped my escape to tilde backticks. I mapped my caps lock to escape and super, right? So tap is escape, hold is super. And then I mapped my control key, my bottom left control key. On tap, it's caps lock, and on hold, it's just control. So that's worked pretty good. That's worked really well. And then the other thing that I did is I started using Raycast with hotkeys as well. So with I've been using Raycast, but they have hotkeys, and a hotkey basically allows you to define a keyboard shortcut to launch an app. Right. So what I can do now is I can hold down caps lock and I can press any of my home row keys, and those pop up my most recent or my most used applications. So like hold caps lock H is Happy Place, Happy Place, PHP Storm. Right. That's what I have to map them in my brain. And then J is Slack. It's like Jake. If somebody's trying to get a hold of me. Hey, Jake. K, I think, is Edge. I don't have a good mnemonic device for that. And L is Loud, which is Teams, because I hate Teams. It's so loud. It is just so loud. There's so many notifications going through there. So anyway, that's what I've got there. And then I've also, instead of using Moom, M-O-O-M, my window manager that I was using previously, Raycast also has window management, which I did not realize, which is pretty cool. And I can assign hotkeys to those commands as well. So I can press caps lock right, caps lock left, and that will, that'll bump my screen to one side or to the other side. Caps lock space does full screen in the middle.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it is interesting.
Maybe I need to look at using those hotkeys because I use the window management stuff in Raycast as well, but I just open up Raycast and then type like FIFO for first fourth or LAFO for last fourth and things like that. So having the ability to do it with hotkeys will be interesting.
Yeah, so the couple things that I discovered in Raycast are like the hotkeys, which you basically, if you go to any command and then you press Command K and then say configure command or configure extension, whatever, it'll bring up a panel and it'll say alias or hotkey. So hotkey will basically say you don't have to be in Raycast to run this. You don't have to press Command Space to pop up Raycast. You just press this keyboard combo.
Yeah,
exactly. It's a global thing. So if you press this hotkey, it'll just do whatever that command is. An alias, however, is if I'm in Raycast and I type this, it will do this command, right? So I can do the same thing if I press like Command Space. So for like my top right corner, I actually don't have that mapped in Raycast for putting something up there in my window management, but I signed an alias of TR, top right. So I press Command Space, open Raycast, TR, enter, and that pops up to the top right. But you can assign any sorts of aliases. So like for my GitHub alias, so GitHub is an extension, right? But within GitHub extension, there are multiple commands. One of the commands is search repos. And so that's the one I use almost all the time. And so what I did is you go to GitHub and then you go to configure command. It's the Command K. And then you go to search repo and then you can assign an alias to that. So the alias is GH. So now what I do is I open Raycast, type GH, tab, and then I just type in the name of whatever repo I'm looking at. So in my case, like core.webbergroup.com, I just type in core, it pops it up, and then I can, from there, press like Command-Shift-P to get to pull requests or Command-Shift-I to get to issues, or enter to go to the repo. So it's really fast. I think that has been the biggest hurdle that I faced moving from Alfred to Raycast was there's so many options in Raycast, and it took me forever to kind of navigate through the different pieces, and it wasn't fast enough. So the aliases have been really helpful, and the hotkeys too. So that's been nice.
Yeah, I think Rissa Jackson, who spoke at Laracon AU, she gave her talk at Laracon EU this week was on using Raycast and the power of all of that kind of stuff. So I'm keen to check that out when it's available.
Oh, cool. I'll have to watch that. So,
yeah. And then I think Luke Downing also shared he's got some stuff that he's set up with shortcuts, like the Siri shortcuts on his Mac, where it kind of moves everything into position, which I want to do, but I can't be bothered looking how to do it. So if Luke's just going to hand it out on a silver platter, then that'll be really good, because I like to have all of my things in certain places on different desktops and things like that. And because I'm using this utility called Better Display to give me like a fake retina on my ultra wide monitor, it doesn't seem to to remember the position of things. So every time my MacBook goes to sleep, when I open it again, everything's kind of just collapsed onto desktop one. So I've got to, every time it comes out of sleep, I've got to move it. So it'll be cool to see if I can figure out how to make that work using Siri shortcuts and Raycast and whatever else. So I can just push the button and it'll do what it needs to do.
That is really cool, actually. And I was just looking at Raycast with shortcuts. Like if you press Command Space and type in shortcuts, it'll pull up shortcuts as an application, but it'll also list out all of your shortcuts, and then you can do the same thing, alias or hotkey them. So if you wanted to, you could assign a global hotkey to run a shortcut, that's pretty nice. Because there might be things that you can do with a shortcut that you cannot do with Raycast, possibly.
Yeah, you can do a bit more scripting and things like that as well.
Yeah. You know what's one thing I really wish was possible with shortcuts, or with just Apple in general? So I have iCloud Plus, I think is what it's called. And I really like the hide my email feature, which is nice because I don't really want to give away my primary email address unless it's absolutely necessary. If I know I'm sending it to a person, I don't have a problem sending it to a person. Although, here's my nightmare story, right? I was like, oh, I'm sending this email to a person. No problem. I'll give them my email address. And then they sent out a mass email to like 300 people for like a class reunion or something stupid. And they put everybody in the CC. I'm like, you moron. You just exposed my email. So frustrating. So anyway, I love the hide my email feature. I use it all the time. But there's no way to get a hide my email really quickly.
Yeah.
Unless you go into the settings and then go to iCloud and then go to, whatever it is, mail, and then go to hide my email and then generate a new one. It's just annoying. It's like, there's got to be a faster way to do that.
Yeah. You got to use Safari and it'll give you the option.
Yeah, that's true.
It detects when it's an email field and you can, it'll pop up to you like, do you want to use a pre-fill or do you want to hide by email? And it comes up there. So that is true. But that means using Safari just to fill out a form. So
Right. So the thing is, it's got to be using a simple API to do so. Like it can't be that complicated to go get your email and go, generate a one-time use email. It's got to be simple. But I had a shortcut that used to work on a previous version of Mac OS that would kind of like, it used the shortcuts to go through the menus and get to for me, but it doesn't work anymore. It broke.
That's a shame.
So yeah, whatever.
One last thing before we wrap up. You are speaking at PHP Tech is it March? Or is it later than May?
I think it's later than that. I think it's June or July or something. Let's see. PHP Tech.
Tech.phparch.com.
April.
73
days. April.
There you go. Yep. So that'll be a nice easy drive for you down from where you are.
Yep.
How's that
absolutely
conference? Are you just giving the same talk that you gave at Laracon US last year, or are you augmenting it? Are you adding stuff to it?
I was asked to give the talk again, by Eric. Actually, when we were at Laracon, so I was like, absolutely, I'd love to do that. So, I'm gonna polish it back up, prep it up again. I will likely add a couple more things. I might just say, and here's some additional reading that you could do. So some of the things I felt like the talk itself did a great job of explaining basic state machines, and that's great. However, there was a lot of people who reached out afterwards and were like, okay, hey, I ran into this situation. Like, how should I do this? And so it was like, okay, let's run through the steps. And some of the things that I saw people struggling with were, where's a good place for me to create a state diagram? How can I do that? Should I just do it in Whimsical, or should I just open a Visio doc and start doing it? There's some places that are actually really good for doing that, like xstate.viz, I think is what it is, or xstate visualization is one of the good ones.
I reckon Mermaid would do it if you use Mermaid.js, because you can do it all in Markdown then. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be great. I find a lot of times though, like when you're doing that, like Mermaid, for example, is really nice. I love Mermaid because I can throw it in a GitHub issue and it just renders, and it's wonderful. Yeah. I don't have to open an editor or anything like that. But it's not great for just exploring ideas because it's too low level. You know what I mean? I just want to be able to throw some stuff on a page. Yeah, exactly. And so state diagrams, I feel like a lot of times, especially when you're first getting started, you just need to throw something on a page. Like write it on a paper if you need to. I don't care. But anyway, xstate does a good job of that. So I might mention that. And then the other thing I might mention, so that's on the front side of like getting started sort of thing. And the other thing I might mention would be to say, in the case that you end up with some complex scenarios, then state charts is where your next stop is on the state machine train. So parallel states, hierarchical states, avoiding state explosion, where it's like you have multiple states that depend on other things, and you end up getting like just like exponentially large sets of state transitions if you're not careful. And so state charts is a great way to I mean, that's the solution to it. It was created for that reason. And so there's some really good reading on that and some good things. Here's the challenge with that. There is no such thing as a state chart library for PHP right now. There's not. There's one for JavaScript. There isn't one for PHP. So maybe in the next 73 days, I'll create one. I don't know. We'll see. It'd be kind of fun.
Like a native PHP app that just shows out to use NPM to JavaScript it up for you.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That might work.
Maybe you and Daniel Colborn can tag team State Machines. What's it called?
Verbs, like his event sourcing. Yeah,
verbs,
event sourcing.
Like two of you can tag team a talk at Laracon AU.
That'd be great. Oh, dude, that would be great. I would love that. That'd be super fun.
We'll do it again. So, so PHP Tech is, what do we say, April 23rd and 25th at the Sheraton Suites in O'Hare. We will put links in the show notes for you if you want to buy tickets. They're available now. It's a 3-track conference. So it's 2 days, 3 tracks. If you can't attend physically, there's also live stream access, so they'll do a full live stream as well. So definitely check that out if it's something that, it's a PHP conference. Loads of speakers, lots of networking. We've talked about all the benefits of attending conferences and things like that as well in the past. So definitely check that out, especially if you're in Chicago. It's just
absolutely anybody in the Midwest, for sure. It's a no-brainer for anybody in the Midwest. You should definitely come.
And it was something to tie you over between Laracon India and Laracon US.
You got it.
Which is August this year, I think. There's so many conferences now. Laracon EU just happened. Laracon India is happening. The PHP UK conference is next week. PHP Tech is in April. There's Laravel Live UK, which is, I think, July. Then Laravel Live Denmark, which is August. And then Laracon US is a week later in August. I'm sure it will definitely not be extremely hot in Texas at that time of year. And then we'll be back in November. We're getting very close to all of that goodness as well. So looking forward to sharing details with everyone. We've secured hotels for attendees, which we did the first year, and we didn't really get much feedback or return on it then, as we didn't do it the last couple of years. But I think just from a attendee experience thing, to say like, this is the hotel, here's your coupon code, you'll get a discount to go and stay at. One of the hotel operators actually operates 8 different properties within like a 30-minute walk of the conference venue, so you can stay at any of them depending on what your budget is and what your tolerance to walking is, which would be good. There's a second hotel operator as well that will have special rates for conference attendees. So we're really trying to kind of make this an all-in experience. It's not just like a ticket, with all the stuff that we're putting around it, to just make it the best that we can make it, which I'm really excited on. And the people that I've kind of shared secret details with already, how many of them are yes people? I don't know. They're just saying,
sure,
that's amazing,
it's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to say. But
you don't want to just go and tell it to everyone before you're ready, or to someone that you don't know, because they might tell you it's bad, or they might share that information that I'm not ready to share yet. So far, I've heard good things, and I hope that as we get closer to the date, hopefully by the end of February. Fingers crossed. I haven't seen any of the branding for this year yet, but hopefully we can get that all moving pretty quickly. And then once it's out in the open, we'll have CFP. I've got one speaker ready to go, which I'm very excited about. I'm hoping, not that Taylor listens to this podcast, I'm sure, but I'm hoping that we can get Taylor
to come
back
That'd
to Australia.
Awesome.
It's been 6 years since he was here last, so fingers crossed we can get the man himself back. Maybe
That'd
once
be
he
amazing.
hands the reins of director of engineering over, he'll have a bit more free time. So fingers crossed.
You got to figure out who that's going to be. Got to figure that out. Who's that going to be?
Is it you? Did you apply?
Oh, maybe it's me. No, dude, I don't think I could hack that job. I don't think I could do it.
I was talking to someone else about it, and they're well positioned. Like their skill set is such that they could take on that kind of role. They're not sure if they would be able to take on the publicity, like to be
that makes sense.
The public face. Like it would be known that you're the developer of the director of engineering or the head of engineering, whatever that role is, at Laravel LLC. And so there's possibly a certain level of expectation from the community that they're going to be like a Twitter person, that they're going to be public, that they're going to be, talking about like, this is how we run Laravel, as a team of 20 developers or whatever else. So there's some trepidation around that. And I'm sure that they're not the only one. Sounds like, you could probably do it, but would you want the pressure of like leading a team of engineers that is responsible for the Laravel framework? Like that's a tall order.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And yeah, for me specifically, I don't know. I don't think, oh boy, I would just say that there are a lot of people better suited, I think, to that job than me. And so, yeah, it would be tough though. It would definitely be a lot of pressure. And intimidating too. I mean, like there's so many smart people on Team Laravel. And so it's, yeah, but it also would definitely be something you'd love to put on your resume. You know what I mean? Like worked as the, lead engineer, like the main guy, not the main guy.
Yeah.
One of the main people helping to lead the team. So that'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Interesting. All right, we're going to wrap up. But
Let's do it.
Did you submit? Have you submitted? Will you submit for Laracon US again this year?
I've talked to my wife about it. It is a really large commitment. And so
with 4 kids, yeah.
Yeah, we will see. We will see. I feel like having had one under my belt, I feel like a little bit more confident that I could do it. It would just be, it's just a lot of time. And so,
yeah,
we'll see. We will see. I would like to. I'll say that. I would really like to. But we'll see. Not sure yet.
Okay.
Yep. Good
right.
Good talk though.
Cool.
All right, dude. 150. Episode 150. Find show notes at Laravel. Sorry, not Laravel News. Find show notes at northmeetsouth.audio/150. Hit us up on Twitter at Michael Dorinda, at Jacob Bennett, or at North South Audio. And of course, if you like the podcast, rate it up in your podcatcher of choice. 5 stars would be amazing. Folks, we'll see you at PHP Tech if you happen to be there. Otherwise, we'll see you in 2 weeks. See you later.
Bye. Oh, you can watch this on YouTube too. There is a video now.
Oh, nice.
So
I love it.
Do that.
No,
you can see
everybody's
the inside
gonna
of
get to
Jake's
see
house.
everybody can see my house. Oh man. My wife's gonna come and you have to see all the trash. Oh, that's not trashed. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. It's mid renovation. It's totally fine.
There we go.
And acceptable.
There we go. It is. It's totally fine.
All right.
All right. Thanks everybody. We'll see ya.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.